Hey everybody, welcome to the game dungeon. I am sharing my screen and probably looks very choppy and bad frame because this is not the optimal way of recording game footage, but just bear with me. It's not the most important part. It's just a juxtaposition to the actual content of information I'm going to discuss with you. And that is to say, how does one remain physically fit but like to enjoy sort of sedentary activities. The number one I would say for myself is playing games, right? When you're playing video games, you're not out and about, you're sitting down. Uh, it's not an activity that requires a lot of physical, there's not a large physical component to it. And I see this all the time. And unfortunately, there is a large amount of individuals who suffer from being overweight or severe circumstances where they're obese. And that leads to other non-physical issues, mental issues like depression and stuff like that. I'll preface this by saying I'm in no way a doctor of the physical body or the mental. Um, I do have a Juris Doctorate, so I know about law stuff, but that doesn't give me any sort of expertise in that realm. I'll just describe my own experience and hopefully it is useful to you. Um, so let's begin. I think the first start of trying to, stop yourself from being overly sedentary and in the end unhealthy, I think, especially as you get older in life. And this is a quick aside. A lot of people are who are overweight, they're completely happy, and they enjoy their life and for that I say that's awesome. I'm not going to tell you you're doing something wrong. The only concern, well, not the only concern, but I think the greater concerns arise once you start leaving your 30s, start getting to your 40s into your 50s, and you retain that large amount of mass. I think that is primarily where a lot of these health issues will start to, if they haven't already shown their head, will start to really show. So if you're a younger cat and you are overweight or even obese, and you think, well, I have no strong inclination to change because I feel fine, really. Maybe it's a change you might consider not for your current self, but your future self. But back to my point. You really need to evaluate how much time you spend sitting down at a desk or wherever you game, right? There are some people who will play video games for more than 3 hours at a time, 7 hours, sometimes longer. Personally, that confounds me to such a high degree. Even when I was a single dude and I didn't have owe any time to family in terms of my own family, like my son and my wife. Uh, Spending over 2 or 3 hours on a video game is hard on my not only my physical body but also on my brain. Uh, I think I'd start to get headaches. I do remember getting headaches for long gaming times, but I also would just get bored playing a video game for that long. It depends on what it is. I've done a few things where I played long periods of time. In World of Warcraft, I think that's probably an easier one to really mess around for long periods. MMOs in general, um, but you really need to evaluate how much time you spend on the computer. I would say if you feel compelled to play those long periods of time, I would do it and limit it. I would not do it often and break up your game time, really. Not only for your physical self, but I think it would create a burnout at a certain point. But really, just evaluating how much time you stay on your desk. Um, for every, there's no real, I mean, maybe there is a calculation, but I don't have one. But I would say for every hour you spend working, sitting at a desk, you need to walk around for a few minutes. So the simplest, and I wouldn't say the best, but the simplest way of starting to change yourself is just to get on your feet and start moving and walking. Uh, and personally, so this is what I do. Actually, I'll tell my personal fitness kind of activities later. But getting up and walking around, you'll hear the arbitrary numbers of 10,000 steps, 8,000 steps. I find that about 6 to 8,000 steps works for me. Um, that's an enjoyable uh, time of walking. I can fit it in. Sometimes I'll need to just stop what I'm doing and walk around the house, literally just around my house, walking continuously for about 30 to 45 minutes. And when I'm doing that, I'm still playing some games because obviously it does get a little boring just walking around, especially if you're not out and about. If you're outside, you don't need to be on anything. You can just enjoy the world around you. But sometimes it's too cold or it's late at night and I have to watch my family or my son. So I'll walk around the house and I'll just, I'll pop on Warcraft Rumble. I'm addicted to those games, as you can see, although I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'll play Warcraft Rumble, and that passes the time really quick, and 30, 45 minutes goes by like nobody's business. Um, but starting to walk is really, really helpful, and I think really useful. Uh, Now, this one is always is always kind of an issue for some people, and I found that in my years of trying to help people do this, there's always a big step that stops them. That's going to the gym. And people will say, you can just go to your home gym. Sure, that is good. I'd say you can start out with your own home gym, and then if you want to pay for a gym, you can. And personally, I don't. Ever since COVID, I stopped going to commercial gyms, but I've built up my own gym at home, so I'm able to get a decently physical workout at home with heavy weight. But it might not be feasible. You live in an apartment or something. Invest in a gym. Planet Fitness is super cheap. It's not really my cup of tea, but it's beggars can't be choosers, right? Go to a gym and go there for a good 35 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. And you might see some people like hulking sons of guns, like these blast masters, and you're thinking, oh no, they're gonna make fun of me. I am scared because look at that, he's fearful and crossing his arms because of what they'll judge me. I would say you got to get out of that mindset because first off, this isn't trying to be mean, but nobody gives a fuck about you. And sorry about the cursing, but nobody really gives a shit about you and what you're doing. Everybody, not everybody, but I think most people at the gym are concerned about themselves first and foremost, getting their own pumping, getting their own physique to the way they want. They're not concerned with what you're doing. If you're scared about the learning curve and how to do physical activities, I mean, you live in the 25th century. There is literally so many internet individuals there to take your money or you watch their YouTube videos to learn how to work out. It's super easy. It only takes literally moments of your time to look it up. So that I don't consider that a good excuse. And I come off a little strong, but for not everybody has my psychology. I'll say that. So I understand that. Um, you have to kind of get over the laziness of not wanting to go to the gym. First step is walking, one foot in front of the other. But if you're really going to try to change your physicality in a good positive way, I would say going to the gym is really important. Um, or at least working out with weights, not just cardio. And number one, because the building of muscle mass is going to make it easier to keep muscle fat tissue off of your body. But two, I think it creates a better physique in general. Um, and it's not that hard. You will have to put in some hard work, but it's not that hard to learn, and it's not that hard to do in the end. Starting out with a couple days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. If you're like me, I exercise every single day. I don't weight lift every single day. Well, I guess I do, but to varying degrees of intensity. Um, so exercising and going to the gym. I'm not discussing novel topics. I'll discuss how I do it in my life. Maybe that'll make it easier at the end. Eating better simply is that you can't be chowing down at McDonald's and Whataburger all the time. Well, here in Texas, Whataburger. You have to cook some food at home. And I find when you do cook at home, you tend to make smaller caloric meals. Like I'll make a sandwich at home, and it is a lot less calories than if I go and buy a hamburger at Whataburger. It's turkey, ham, and it's like some sourdough or whatever. But most of the time, I'll try to keep my protein the greater portion in my meal. So I'll make a bowl of rice, of beans, and chicken thigh or chicken breast, chicken thigh for flavor. And you throw some cheddar cheese, you have a delicious filling meal. You might find you want to eat more in the day because you're hungrier. Depending on your level of weight, in physicality, you may be able to do that and be fine. But ultimately, you have to start eating better. And I mean that by less fatty foods that potentially give you heart disease, which usually are more calorically intensive and allow you to put more fat on. Once you're exercising and once you're eating a little better, you don't have to be. I mean, you should, but you don't have to be Mr. Clean diet all the time. I am not personally. I like to eat sugary sweets a lot, especially brownies. And I'll have pizza and stuff like that. But generally speaking, you have to learn to be, uh, and what it boils down to is on the food is be better at resisting temptations. So you might be like, well, I'm going to put on a little extra time in the game. Okay, another session, just a couple more games, and uh, you see that you're hungry, but you don't really want to make a meal, so you just grab some chips and just start chowing down some chips, 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 chips. And you're like, well, I'll do my workout tomorrow. So you not worked out. And it's late at night, and this comes to my last point, sleep. You need to sleep well. Sleep well for a solid, I always at least 7 hours. And I think they recommend 8, but for me, I'm usually good at 7. Because no matter how much exercise you have, no matter how much well you're eating, you're not going to be in the right hormonal balance if you do not sleep correctly. And a lot of people who play video games, they play late at night and for long periods of time into the night, and they sacrifice sleep for the game. Now, let me say this. I love playing video games. I play video games every single day almost, but I will never sacrifice my sleep for the game. Uh, that is where the gains are made. And it sounds kind of bro-ish, but it is literally how you are allowed to change your physicality by shredding off fat and gaining muscle. The only way that works, despite all the working out and eating, is to sleep well. So going back to being better at your temptations, you have to be stronger at, saying no to certain foods. You have to be stronger at saying no to playing games for a certain amount of time or in lieu of working out. And you have to say no to not allowing yourself to sleep. A lot of people suffer sleep issues, and I feel so bad for them. And I unfortunately, not fortunately, fortunately for me, I've never had an issue really sleeping. I knock out like a rock as soon as I hit the bed, which I'm very grateful for. Uh, but these are really the core components of trying to enjoy sedentary activities like playing games and keeping yourself healthy and fit. As you can see, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm not overweight, as it were. And I play games all the time, and uh, I can describe what I usually do in my day to day. So you're gonna say, "Oh, this is crazy. I'll never do this." But trust me, it didn't start out this way in terms of the way I practice my lifestyle, but this is the way it ended up being, just based on the factors of my life. Um, I'll get up around 5:30ish, sometimes 6 if I'm feeling a little lazy. I'll pop some pre-workout, get a little caffeine, which just kind of helps focus. You don't have to take pre-workout. You can have coffee, or you don't have to have caffeine at all if you don't want it. I just like it because it tastes good and it gets a little more focused for the workout. Uh, and I do a workout, weightlifting, and I have a 7 day split, or 6 of the days I'm doing just um, pure weightlifting split, like chest and back and arms and legs. And then on the rest day, I'll just do martial arts, kung fu, with a little bit of weightlifting involved there. So that gives me some physical activity as well, even on the days that are rest days. Because I don't think it's good for any day for you to be completely sedentary or not doing anything. And on a lot of days, I'll also have a second part of the day where I go and do some cardio for about 20 minutes. As long as I get about 200 calories in cardio, I'm good. That's not necessary. I just like it. It keeps me feeling good. I feel like refreshed after I do it. On days I don't do cardio, I actually go to a kung fu class, so that gets a lot of my physical activity out of the way on those days too. I don't feel the need to do cardio on those days because I'm usually pretty cardiovascularly involved. But essentially, every single day, I am keeping myself active, weightlifting, and staving off the gain of body fat, which is so common. And as soon as you hit your 20s, that's the time when, actually, as soon as you leave high school, so it's the time where you either start packing on the pounds or you'll start keeping yourself, start working out. And you probably experienced it yourself. And I experienced it to myself, especially during COVID. I had no idea how much weight I put on during COVID, but I did. I put on a lot of belly fat, which I was able to shred it off soon after that. But there's a lot of things you can do in that, and not necessarily having to get up at 5 a.m., which I think is good. And I think it's better that way because you knock it out first thing in the morning. You don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. It's done. You've exercised. You can do some cardio if you want to. You don't have to if you don't need to. The walking satisfies that, really. You can do walking with a little cardio if you have bad joints. It's really good for you just to move. Um, it's just that overall kind of caloric burn you have through the day, that you get through the cardio or walking. And once you've done it in the morning, you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. It doesn't interfere with your activities that happen in the afternoon. For me personally, I couldn't do it in the afternoon because I have my son and I pick him up. He needs my attention until he's going to bed around 8. And around 8, I have no desire to be taking pre-workout or to be lifting weights. I used to back in the day when I was younger and I didn't have like a family like that. I would work out as late as something 9 o'clock sometimes. And depending on, where you are in your life, that might work for you as long as you're actually exercising and you're getting sleep at the end of the day. You work out late, but you need to sleep because you're getting no gains that way. All in all, I make it seem simpler than maybe it is for a lot of people because there is that sometimes nagging depression when you get to a certain point and you feel like you can't change. But it's a fallacy. It's false. I mean, it's your stupid brain telling you stupid things. Um, you are able to do whatever you want to. You're capable of doing anything. Um, you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor. You want to be a bodybuilder, you can be a bodybuilder. You want to go to college and get a degree, you can go to college. You can, or if you want to learn how to fix cars, you can learn to fix cars. It really doesn't matter. Ultimately, you are the arbiter of your own life, and you just got to guide yourself to whatever you want. And if being overweight makes you sad, or if you like to play games but you're depressed about how you are outside of life because you feel like you dedicate too much time to it, which or maybe you don't feel like you dedicate enough time to it, but you still want to get in better shape. These are just some tips for you to hopefully use if it's useful to you. Um, in my life, I'm a lawyer. I am consider myself a bodybuilder. I like to play video games. I like to practice kung fu. I like to be a father of my son. I like to be a husband of my wife. There's a lot of hats I wear. And it's all possible to do. You just have to do it. And you have to just tell yourself that I want to do these things and you get it done. I'm not to say that I get everything I want done. I have a lot, I neglect a lot of my hobbies that I do like to do. Comics, I like to draw comics, but sometimes I put off things for other things. Like I spend more time lifting than I do drawing, or I spend too much time gaming than I do drawing. Um, um, so it's just making time for the things you got to do and the things you want to do, and you can do it. And uh, don't let yourself feel, be unhealthy just because your own choices. If you're unhealthy for outside forces, God bless you. There's nothing you can do about that. You can do what I mean. You can control what you can't control, right? But if you are unhealthy because you decide you are unhealthy and decide by making the choices that you make, then there's no point to that. There's no need for that, and there's no need for that suffering. And as simple as just evaluating how much time you stay on the desk, evaluating how much time you spend on your desk, rather, starting to walk, starting to lift, go to the gym, uh, eat better, sleep better, and resisting temptations along the way. It's not easy, but it gets easy at the end of the day. It's not easy to start, maybe I'll say, when you're doing everything a certain way and you change your life, but it is easy once you start doing it a lot. For me, I can imagine a day of not working out. It drives me nuts if I don't get a good lift in. And when I'm sick, I hate it because I can't exercise. Um, some people are concerned, side note, about being buff. I don't want to train with weights. I don't want to be buff. I don't want to be toned. I just want to be toned. Trust me, you're not going to get buff unless you want to be buff. Then you'll figure out how to get buff. But if you're not trying to get buff, you're not going to get buff. You're not going to be a shredded monster. If you're a lady worrying about being effeminate looking and you don't want to have giant traps, don't worry about that. That takes hard work and dedication above what I'm describing here. This is just minimally to get yourself to be in a decent, good physicality. If you're trying to be Mr. Olympia, there's a step above this. You don't got to worry about that. You're not there. You can be if you want to, but you're not there yet. Um, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about dumb shit like that. Worry about getting yourself healthier if that's your concern. That's it. And Mylan will wave you a wave. Well, no, he's not because he's on this thing. There you go. Let's say goodbye. I don't know what that was. Now, okay. He's spazzing out. I'm not sure. I think the game's spazzing out. But his wolf pup is happy for you. He knows you can do it. You can get guns like Mylan. Wish I had arms like that. And hopefully this has been, a um, useful video for you. I know you can be whichever you want to be. You can be a gamer, you can be a bodybuilder, you can be anything you want. Just got to do it. So stop not doing it. Peace.